You know, the toughest flying that I ever did was in combat in support of the ground troops. And they'd bring us in with rockets or bombs or napalm. We didn't have any guns on that airplane, but we knew that we had to get close, but not too close to the friendlies to be effective. You know, we couldn't put our weapons, 40 clicks away and do any good at all. But we get in too close to start singeing the mustaches of those soldiers and Marines down there, and
by the way, if you get too close, actually, it goes way beyond singeing mustaches. If you go too close, you can kill friendly troops. Yeah. And again, we're back to what we just talked about. So that's a nightmare. And
it was done. You know, I mean, again, the fog of war, and that's what happens. And it's really, really unfortunate. So I would get that knot in my stomach whenever I was called in to support the ground troops, and in fact would, torch off the smoke signal, and I'd look at the wind and try to figure out exactly how I can get in there close. And lots of times I would go below the frag pattern of the bomb I was dropping just so I could get more accuracy. and we all did that. You know, we weren't supposed to, but an average bomb, 500-pound bomb would have a frag pattern of 2,400 feet above the ground. That's what you were flying through after you dropped the bomb. And we'd go below that just to get more accuracy because we knew that those guys were dependent on us. And boy, there were some happy facts, after we would support those ground troops. But it was, it was pretty scary stuff. But back to your point about blaming other people, I had a coach early on in a very losing team. Sorry to say, but he told us this because we'd start blaming other things for the problem. We were away and we didn't, the things weren't right, and we blamed somebody for this or somebody that, or the refs were calling it bad calls and all this stuff. And he said, the difference in success and failure in life is not the things around you. It's the choices you make about things around you. And you can blame everybody else for your problems, but in doing so, you give away control of your life. And I think that's the accountability issue that you're talking about, is that there's certainly freedom in discipline. There's also freedom in accountability, I think, because when you, like you say, when you say, okay, yeah, lots of people made a lot of mistakes, but oh, by the way, I was in charge. And so, the onus is really on me. And I find that when I practice taking, taking responsibility for some of the bad things that really weren't my fault, and I practice doing that, it frees me up, I think, to live a freer life.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point, because sometimes people they hear, like, they'll read the book Extreme Ownership that we wrote, and they go, okay, cool. Well, all I need to do is take ownership of the problems, and then I'm a good guy, right? They go, oh, hey, these mistakes happen. It's my fault, so let's get them fixed. And that actually doesn't work. Actually. And when I say, hey, there was all these mistakes that were made on the battlefield, and different people made actual mistakes. They made mistakes. The day we had that blue on blue, there was other people that made mistakes. What I'm saying isn't like, oh, those were my mistakes. Hey, it's my fault. No. What I'm saying is, actually, truthfully, those mistakes were things that I should have foreseen, that I should have understood better, that I should have planned better, that I should have trained guys better for. That they made the mistake, but the root problem of that mistake is my fault. It's not just saying, hey, my boss, oh yeah, that was my fault. No. It actually is my fault. And I have this conversation too, where people say, well, what do I do if I tell my employees, oh guys, it was my fault? And then my employees say, yeah, that's right, it was your fault. And the people don't know what to do. And I said, well, it is your fault. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this so that it makes people not look at you and blame. No. And someone says, if I say, Charlie, we screwed up this mission, it was my fault. And you go, that's right, it was your fault. I don't go, no, it was your fault. No, that's not how it works. I say, Charlie, I was the commander of this mission. I didn't give you enough information. I didn't review your plan well enough. I didn't give you the training that you needed. I didn't give you the support that you needed. That was my fault. That is what, and here is what I'm going to do to fix it. So when I look at you and say, hey, this is my fault that this happened, and you say, you're right, it was, I go, exactly. These are the things I'm going to do to fix it. Here's the way we're going to do this from now on. Here's some procedures we're going to put in place so that this doesn't happen. So yes, extreme ownership is not by any stretch an escape hatch. It's not. Right. In fact, when you take ownership, you shut the hatch and you block
You're
it,
there.
and you're not getting out. The only way to get out is to find solutions for the problems and move forward.
Yep.
So it's an interesting. It's interesting.